Hello, this is Anna at Nautilus Yacht Management. Today we're going to discover Kolohe, a Leopard 46 4-cabin version that has just arrived in our books in New Zealand. I first met Kolohe's family back in Fiji when they were on their way to New Caledonia and then finally into New Zealand, where I saw them again upon the hire at Whangarei. Kolohe is looking just amazing. Her owners are on board and ready to show you around. For any questions, just get in touch.
Welcome to Kolohe. Thanks for taking a minute to look at our boat. I'm Michael.
And I'm Ava. Kolohe is a Leopard 46 2009, and one of the things that immediately drew me to the Leopard 46s is that they are solid sailing catamarans, and it was a boat that I definitely felt safe on. It was important to me when I was at the helm that I could see all areas of the boat, so that when I was at the helm maneuvering her, it was not a problem. I had full confidence. The thing that I really loved about Kolohe is that this boat became our home, and it felt very, very comfortable, and it was a really wonderful place for us to live over the last 2 years.
Yeah, the Leopard 46 definitely has a reputation as a performance sailor for a production catamaran. Even more so when we installed the Flexifold folding props, which added a half, 3/4, or even a full knot to our performance when we were crossing the Pacific. We often made more than 180 nautical miles in a day, and there was an 18-hour stretch where we averaged 8.8 knots on 18 or 19 knots apparent wind. It was a great sailing day, one for the books. The other thing that drew me to the Leopard 46 is it's simply engineered. The systems are straightforward and simple, as easy as you can imagine on a catamaran to maintain and troubleshoot when there's questions, and further supported by the fact that there's a large owners group on Facebook, so that if you have questions or concerns, you can ask questions, and oftentimes when I've had questions, I can go to there and get quick, relevant answers for people that have either done it before or have good insights because of their history. But why don't we go ahead and show you Kolohe?
The Salon is often a connection point and a center of activity. We've had many a movie night and just hanging out and meals shared together. It's been really wonderful. The table is set up for 4, but there's plenty of space for more. The table does lower, and we do have the cushion for making this area into a bed, which many people do. We actually have not, but we do have the parts for that. We have, however, removed the table though to host a movie night with all of the kids' friends, and so that worked out really well. One of the things really important to me when looking for a boat was to have a wraparound galley, that it would ensure that I was safe and that everything was within arm's reach while underway. And this galley is very well designed in that aspect. There's lots of room for meal prep, and here and here. And you can reach everything very, very easily. There's tons of storage and through here, and these go back the full length of the cabinet. We have pots and pans in here, and then the bakeware is stored under here, and utensils and such are here. When you are doing meal prep, there is a very convenient garbage port right there, which is fabulous. This area is lovely for serving and entertaining people. You just pop the meals right up there. The double sink is nice and deep, and this is really nice to be able to access everything. There is a dish rack here, which is fabulous. Kids can just do their own dishes right there. The Force 10 4-burner stove was upgraded in 2017, and this is propane, and it gets nice and hot. and I can make my artisan bread in it, which is the family loves. One of the things that we really wanted as a family was a microwave for the boys to be able to reheat their food or make their own food or what have you. When you do that though, sometimes you lose space. So we did do an upgrade and make a Lazy Susan, which is really great, especially because I'm shorter. I can easily reach all of my cooking oils and any other condiments that I have back here, and the toaster is back here, and the electrical all goes through the middle and just is all nice and neat and hidden away and doesn't obstruct the turning. So overall, the galley again is very well laid out and designed well. I have found it very easy to make really wonderful meals here. Over here is the fridge and freeze. These are the standard Leopard 46 units that came with the boat. The seals as well as the hinges have been replaced, and the analog control has also been upgraded to digital to make it more manageable.
So back over to me to talk about the systems in the salon. Here at the electronics area, you have the standard Leopard 46 control panel for the AC as well as the DC. We have the Northern Lights panel that was replaced with the new generator, currently showing 1,773 hours runtime. The 3 control units for the air conditioning port, salon, and starboard. Those can be run both as air conditioning units as well as you run them in reverse to be heaters. We've actually used them as heaters more than we've used them as air conditioners. The USB and the cable here is actually to charge the Bluetooth speaker that goes along with the movie entertainment system. You roll this down and it turns into a 1.5 meter approximate movie entertainment system with the projector mounted here up on the ceiling. That has an HDMI cable that goes back to hook into your computer so that you can play movies or videos, whatever you would like. It's attached here in the ceiling, as well as the screen is attached with silicone adhesive, so if you choose to remove that, there'll be no drill marks or witness marks that you have to deal with. Over here at the chart table, we'll go through the systems. We have a Victron battery monitor that gives you the stats on the charge level of your batteries. Here I'm having my phone just so you can see that the solar panel controllers are Bluetooth, so you can monitor the production of the solar. There's a Raymarine C-Series chart plotter that gives you access to all the information that's up on the helm. You have not only the charts, radar, but the data that you'd get off of the individual components, speed over ground, course over ground, wind speed, apparent wind angle, and depth, all can be displayed here at the screen. An Iridium Go. We use the Iridium Go to track our position. So if you subscribe to Predict Wind, you can set up a tracking page so people can see where you are in the world, as well as we send and receive emails, and we can download weather from Predict Wind as well via the Iridium Go. It's very useful. It's not very fast, but getting weather information while you're offshore is crucial. I just have my notebook here showing Predict Wind, so you get a sense of the space at the chart table to have a computer, have books or charts or any information you need. There is storage underneath the bench here, as well as storage down below that we keep all the manuals for the boat.
This is the port aft berth. This is our berth, and as you can see, it's very light and airy with between the hatch and the ports on the side. There's ample storage. You've got this whole bank along here, as well as 2 lockers here, and this one is my hanging locker. And on this side, actually, there's a great little bench, and there's actually storage underneath, which is perfect for shoes and that type of thing. This cabinet we use for storage, like sheets and stuff like that. And then under the berth itself is the water maker, some additional storage, and the water heater. In here is the head. Let's take a look. Here's the port head. This is the shower, and it's a full stand-up shower. All of the other 3 heads are set up very similarly, and this has also been set up as a wet locker, so we have these great hanging bars. It's actually in all 3 heads as well. The door seals really nicely when you are taking a shower. Pretty much no water comes out on the floor. So here's the rest of the head. We've got a counter and a little vanity area where you could put all your toiletries, as well as there's plenty of counter space. There is a little window shade, of course, for privacy if you're at dock. You're absolutely welcome to open the windows there. Solid, because we have rebedded all of the windows on the side in 2021, so those are rock solid. The toilet is fully functional, obviously, and well maintained, and we have a nice little rack right here for the towels. The one thing I do want to also cover is that this little faucet is for the water maker. When we start the water maker, we do need to run it for a little bit to make sure that it is drinkable. And so we are able to test it there after it's been running the required amount of time. So this is the starboard aft berth, and this berth also has plenty of space. You've got storage up there. There's a hanging locker here and a smaller locker here. And again, there's also these huge cabinets that go all the way down into the hull. Underneath the berth is the fuel tanks, of course, and then the water heater, and then the remainder of it, this forward area right here, is going to be a storage space. So that can be used for whatever your heart desires. There's a bench here again with the under storage little cubby hole, which is really convenient for shoes and such. So this is the starboard forward berth, and this is nice and light and airy, and there is a hanging locker and a deep locker here as well behind the door, and then there's this really great open shelving, which is really easy access for clothing or whatever you would like to have there. A couple of the features that all the berths have are the reading lights, the fans, which are fabulous for tropical nights, and the shades that come down and cover the window if you need a little privacy or just want to sleep in. Here we are in the port forward head, which we have converted to a floor-to-ceiling pantry. This has been great because it's super easy access, no digging in benches or berths to access food. I restock it about once a month, so it's been really great for entertaining and feeding a family. Here we've got the Giantex 3.5 kilogram washing machine. This has been great for washing loads, and even if we have something that's wet, we've hand washed or what have you, we actually just use it for the spin cycle and then throw things out on the line to dry, which has been a good speedier way to dry things. All you do is you just hook this up to the faucet and turn on the faucet, and it runs, and then it discharges overboard right here through the sink. This is the port forward berth, and we have this area set up as a project area. It's really nice to have enough space to work on anything that we might have going on at the moment. We've got the bread maker and the ice maker here, which is nice because it does not clutter up the galley counter space. We have both sides of the mattress. We have used this as a berth and definitely had guests here, which has been great. Here we've got the Ice Co, which is a 70 quart freezer. We run it at about 9 degrees Fahrenheit, and this has been really great for when we catch those really big fish offshore, and also just feeding a family. So it runs like a champ. It's just been very solid. Here we have the Epson printer, scanner, and copier all in one. That is going to stay with the boat, and this has been great for providing official documents or whatever you might need to clear into a country. Also just homeschooling, which has been important. Also, I do want to say that this is easily removed, this platform, if the purchaser would like that. Underneath the berth are spares, the boat spares, and some tools for maintenance, as well as a spare bread maker and a spare microwave, because we know it's important in this family.
Here in the foredeck we have the two-person kayak, and of course the trampoline, which was replaced in 2017, so it's in new condition. In the port locker we have the Northern Lights 9 kW generator that has approximately 1,800 hours on it. It was replaced in 2017. Over the last 2 years, with the ample solar that we have, we've only run the generator about 300 hours when we have extensive clouds, or actually when we want to run the air conditioning reverse as a heater when it was cold in Maryland as we were leaving in December. Additionally, there's the 2 inflatable SUPs and all of the accessories that would go with most of the toys that we have on board. In the starboard locker we have the 2 100-gallon water tanks, as well as the spare anchor. The stern anchor, full set of fenders and multiple dock lines. The captain's peak, as we call it, the starboard foreberth, we use to store the water toys, as well as when we had a spinnaker, we had the spinnaker in there. In the port forward berth, we have storage for the vacuum cleaner and various items that are, not things that we access on a regular basis. In the center we have the quick 1500 watt windlass that goes with the 10 millimeter anchor rod that we have, and the 85 kilogram anchor. The chain is 220 feet long with an additional 100 foot of mega plat rod. The main halyard, the spinnaker halyard, and the Genoa halyard are all New England Dyneema. They were replaced in late 2020. The mainsail and the sail bag were replaced in 2017. The Genoa was restitched in October of 2021, as well as the D-ring in the end was maintenance, and the leather wrapping was replaced. The main sail can be raised as it is normally done on a Leopard 46 here at the front, in addition to the electric winch on the port side. All reefing here is done at the mast. We've reefed under various points of sails up to about 30 knots, so you can reef the Leopard 46 while sailing. Let's go take a look at the solar. Here in the coach roof we have 3 areas of solar. The 230 watt panel on the coach roof, the 2 panels that come together for 340 watts on the Helm roof, as well as the 1040 watt array that's on an arch over the transom of the boat. Each of these are on their own MPPT controller, so if one gets shaded, the others can continue to generate energy. Additionally, back here you can see we have our AIS antenna, our Iridium Go antenna, as well as our Wi-Fi booster antenna. So here at the helm we have your standard depth gauge, wind vane, a C-Series Raymarine chart plotter, and Raymarine's latest autopilot. The autopilot, the previous one was replaced in 2021. It is still fully functional and on the boat, so it's an active spare. We wanted that as we were crossing major oceans. The thought of being without autopilot was pretty horrendous, so we have a fully, the previous one is fully operational on the boat as a spare. The port and starboard winch that are standard on the Leopard 46, we electrified the port to allow the main to be lifted with an electric winch rather than to hand crank it, as well as when we have to lift someone up the mast. It makes it a much easier, much more pleasurable ride for the person riding up. The way we ran the helm, we actually used a tablet so that we could have electronic charts, very up-to-date electronic charts, combined with a program called All-in-One Maps, which allows us to have satellite imagery from various sources. Primarily we used Google or Bing, so this was super helpful in the Bahamas, the west side of Panama, the French Polynesian Islands, as well as Fiji, where the maps usually don't tell the whole story, and having satellite imagery to find where the bommies and rocks are is super helpful. So we use this as our primary navigation rather than the built-in Raymarine electronics. Of course, standard compass, engine controls for the two Yanmar 54 horsepower diesels, as well as a USB socket that we put in to power the electronics, as well as phones and other stuff that you'd have up at the helm, and a Raymarine VHF radio. Back here at the stern of the boat, we have on the back rail, we have a fish cutting board, which is very useful for any reef fish you have caught. We have the large cooler, so for ocean going fish, large tuna, and the like. I ended up often using the cooler to fillet the fish, obviously much bigger than the fish cutting board. The scuba tanks have always ridden attached to the swim platform. They've been solid not only through our passage across the Pacific and through the French Polynesian Islands, but to Fiji and then down here to New Zealand. The dinghy is an AB 10.3 with a Yamaha 30 horsepower 2-cycle engine. The dinghy is from 2017. The outboard is from 2020. The dinghy is shown here without the chaps that have been on the chaps since it was purchased by the previous owner. The chaps themselves have deteriorated since 2017. We still have them as a template if you wish to make new chaps for it. But it's good to know that the Hypalon has not been exposed to the sunlight since 2017, so the dinghy is still in quite good condition. The slightly oversized engine was put on so that with the family of 4 and all of our scuba gear, we could still plane in the dinghy. So we didn't have to park Kolohe right next to where we wanted to scuba dive. We could go some regular distance with all of our scuba gear in it as well. We do have a magnet grill. It could use some parts refresh since it is likely from 2017, although we don't know the exact age on that. A full set of Sunbrella cushions for the cockpit, and the small cooler that's in its little cubby hole there with a cushion on top. We've used that both in the cockpit when we've had 14, 16 people here, or as an additional seat for the Salon table. So the Kolohe has two 54 horsepower Yanmar motors. The motors were complete end-to-end serviced in 2021 in the middle of US summer, July. 21. The sail drives at that point were both replaced on both motors with SD60s. So brand new sail drives, or 1 year old sail drive, 1 season year old sail drives. The previous owner had the rudders removed and rebuilt. That was in 2017, and so the bearings and everything else were replaced at that point. The injectors were replaced on the motors during that survey, and a water pump was replaced on one of the engines during that work. So, like most Yanmars, the digital counters at the helm failed a while ago, so the previous owner installed some analog ones that are in the galley.
Okay. Yeah.
They're reading approximately 1500 to 1700 depending on which motor.
Okay.
The previous owner indicated that he replaced those at about 3,000 hours, so
Okay.
we're at the 4,500, 4,700
Okay.
hours time on both engines.
Yeah.
Both pull really hard. Just under motors without a current, we can get 9.5, 9.8 knots. It does have flexifold props. Those were put on in 2020. Great if you're going anywhere where there's crab pots or fishing lines, because they once you're in neutral or once you've put the engines have stopped in reverse, they fold on up, and they add about half to almost a full knot in your sailing speed, as well as keep things from tangling up in your prop. At about 6 knots, it's going to be about 0.7 gallons of diesel per hour. At 6.5 knots, it's 0.8. 5 knots or 5.5 knots, it's 0.6. When we had the boat surveys, there was a listing of hoses that had question marks around them, rust on the outer side, so a good portion of the wastewater and water hoses were replaced post our purchase of the boat.
Yeah, the exhaust looks really quite young, and the connection of the exhaust as well, the elbow is looking very clean.
Yeah.
And did you say you dropped the rudders at some stage?
The previous owner had them pulled and rebuilt.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Because the rudders on the Leopards, are subject to periodic need of
That's
maintenance.
right.
So,
Yeah.
so they're just at 5 years since they were completely rebuilt. So
Great.
still pretty young.
Yeah.
Kolohe was purchased in June of 2020 and sailed north from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to the Chesapeake Bay. In December of that same year, the family moved aboard and sailed south from Annapolis, Maryland to enjoy a season in the Bahamas due to COVID. The Low Island group and the kid boats found along the way made it a great experience for the entire family. Sailing back up the East Coast for hurricane season, the family enjoyed the islands and forests of Maine. On their return trip, they stopped by New York for a bit of sightseeing. That November, the family started their circumnavigation by returning to the Bahamas and continuing on to the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and then Panama. Transiting the Panama Canal was quite the experience. Sailing across the Pacific directly to the French Polynesian Islands took 26 days, often making more than 180 nautical miles per day. The entire family took day and night shifts, making the trip manageable for everyone. The family spent 4 months in the Marquesas, Tuamotus, and Society Islands. The scuba diving, snorkeling, and camping on the islands was incredible. As their time came to a close, they headed off to Fiji to experience the joys and culture of the island group. The surfing lessons and good kiteboarding conditions were an extra treat. So many memories that will be with the family forever.